This is not legal advice, and that is a good thing. I have found through the court system and through accessing various free DV resources that there are plenty of experts out there who will talk to you for free, but they will not tell you the advice you need to hear, because if they told it to you, that would be legal advice, and they're not your lawyer, so they're not allowed to say that. Thankfully, this is not my job, so I don't have to worry about losing it like all those people have to. Number 1. If you have kids, be sure to get them their passports now, as long as it's safe for you to stay another 6 to 8 weeks. If you gotta go, please go. If you can wait a little bit, it's really nice to have the passports now, as opposed to having just one more thing you can hold over your head and, it'll give them one less way to have power and control over you having to wait on him to do his side of the paperwork when you want to get the kids' passports in the future. Now in this video, I am going to use he. Of course, I am going to mean that to mean any pronoun for whoever your abusive partner is. We're just going to use he for brevity. Number 2, save the DV hotline in your phone. The way I think is easiest to do it is to have a duplicate contact with the name of some best friend of yours that you call all the time, and have that be the name of the DV hotline in your phone. Most likely, he's not going to be looking through your contacts list and see some weird duplicate of your best friend's name. And on your call list, you're just going to see, when your friend called, plus all the times you called the DV hotline. It's going to look like the same thing. It's not going to mess up your texts, because you're not going to be texting the DV hotline. You're going to be calling them. I really recommend the New Beginnings one, which is a local one for Seattle. I once tried the national one. I didn't find them very helpful. The New Beginnings domestic hotline number is 206-737-0242. And I recommend just getting comfortable calling it. You do not have to wait for crisis. You do not have to feel like whatever it is you have to talk about is a big enough deal to call the DV hotline. That is not what they're there for. They're not waiting on you to get in more danger than necessary before talking to them. They don't want that. They are willing to listen to you. It does not have to sound scary enough or any of that. In fact, I recommend you call them up before you really hit a crisis and before it's go time, you gotta leave now, and complain about something kind of small so that, you can understand that these people are there to help you. They are not there to wait on you to prove that it's really that bad and that you really even have to leave. They want to listen to you. They want to help you. Besides that, after the fact, it may turn out that whatever you had to complain to them about was actually a small thing, because I found in my own case, and plenty of people find in their cases, that you don't even realize what the big problem is until you've left and until you're in a place of safety, until you've had some time to heal and to think about it. 3, don't spend a dime right now, at least of your own money. Now, if you don't have your own money, I recommend spending a little extra, whatever you can get away with, and pocketing it. So, one thing you can do is you can buy your friend's groceries on your husband's card, and she can pay you back cash. Another thing you can do is to perhaps buy some extras of the small expensive grocery things you'll need in the future. Start stashing them at your friend's place for another day. Another thing you can do is to, if you don't want to have a spike in the grocery bill, you can buy your friend's groceries, have her pay you back, and then for your own groceries for your own family, go to the food bank. Do not feel bad about taking what you think you don't deserve. This is not time for that. Everyone wants to help you, especially if you're in Seattle. There is zero reason to feel like you're not poor enough or not hungry enough to go to the food bank. Literally, the food banks here throw food away every day. There are so many things donated to the food bank that we actually don't even have enough poor and hungry people in Seattle to eat all of it. We live in a really incredible and wealthy place. You can take advantage of it. It's fine. You need help. Don't worry about it, okay? Number 4, it's time to act fishy, which doesn't sound right, does it? But you need to act fishy now. You need to change up some of your patterns of behavior so that when you're acting weird, when it's time to go, he doesn't detect a change in behavior. So for example, if you were my friend, we would be going on a date to the courthouse right now because I could use some company and I actually need to go to the courthouse anyways. I had some documents of mine mailed back to me and they got ruined by the rain and they're all roughly and I need to like buy new copies of all my documents anyways. And if you were my friend, you would tag along with me to, I think it's the 3rd floor where you buy new documents, and then we'd go to the other floor, maybe it's the 9th floor, to go check out the office for where to get your DVPO, because in Seattle, if you need a domestic violence protection order, which is, right now, this person that's causing you a problem needs to start staying 500 feet away from you. There's just a little office you go to fill out a form. You wait an hour or 2 for a judge to become available. They see you as soon as possible. They give you a 2-week temporary DVPO, which may be stronger than what your more long-term DVPO eventually would be. With my 2-week DVPO, I had 100% custody of my daughter, which was fantastic. And unfortunately, with the next court date, I did not get 100% custody, but I still got very much majority custody, which is fantastic. Very good. In Seattle, that's actually very difficult to get, and you pretty much have to prove that the other parent has either a domestic violence problem or a drug problem in order to get anything better than 50-50 custody. Another fishy thing, hey, the library near your house isn't that big. You got to go to this other library that's bigger and has way better selection, and they just happen to be across the street from the abortion clinic that you may or may not need to go to. Just so you know, you can get abortions pretty easily in Seattle through 26 weeks. I got a 20-week abortion as part of leaving my ex-husband, and if you have a medical complication, I'm pretty sure that UW Medical Center would give you an abortion at any week gestation. I got my abortion at All Women's Care in Northgate, which no longer exists, unfortunately, so I can't recommend a place to you, but there are places that do 26-week abortions. Not Planned Parenthood, unfortunately. That's a video for another day. They only do it to 20 weeks. So don't go to Planned Parenthood and have them tell you it's too late, because I'm pretty sure they will. Again, video for another day. Another fishy thing you could do, you could suddenly feel like it's time to clean the closets and, just be touching the suitcases. You actually caught up on your chores and you actually have this time to wipe off all the mud, dry it on the wheels of your suitcases that you never got around to, and it's just been dried and caked on for months and months. You want to get him exposed to the idea of you touching your suitcases now when you're not actually leaving. And hopefully that'll make things easier for you later. Maybe you can move them to an easier spot for when you do need to access them, again, under the guise of rearranging the closet. And I'll tell you that in my situation, when I was leaving my ex-husband, it was in spring of 2020, and we had both lost our jobs because of you know why. And so my ex-husband was home all the time, and it was very difficult to pack a suitcase to go run away in the middle of the night. I did it, but Might be nice to have some things made a little easier in advance. Number 5, if you have kids and if there is anywhere you would rather be than right here for the next 20 years, you need to just go. If you have kids from a previous relationship and a parenting plan already, it's also the perfect time for you, because if you look at your parenting plan, you will see that for every other circumstance, you need to give your ex notice of leaving, of relocating your kids, but you don't have to in the case of fleeing domestic violence. And before there's a parenting plan in place, which, if you haven't broken up with your husband, there's probably no parenting plan for your kids. It's just time to go. And this was actually one of the things that I was given bad advice about over the DV hotline. I was not told point blank that custody arrangements are decided between the parents before there's a parenting plan in place, which is why actually it's very difficult to prove kidnapping in the case of, two married people before there's a parenting plan in place. Even for really terrible cases, unfortunately, it's very difficult to prove kidnapping. And in your case, that's great. The last thing I want you to do is to suddenly decide that you want to live somewhere else in 5 years, and then you can't, because when you send in the paperwork to declare to your ex that you want to relocate the children, he says no, and then it goes to court, and then the judge says no. I don't want that to happen to you. So have some foresight, if that's possible, which it's really not, in your free time, of course. Go read The Body Keeps the Score, and you'll learn about how people with PTSD actually have an inability to understand that there is a future. In fact, that is the whole reason you even have PTSD, is because you can't separate the past from the present in your mind. But don't worry about that right now. Just keep that in the back of your mind, that as you make these big plans, your brain chemistry, your brain wiring is going to radically change once you're going into a place of safety, once you're getting therapy, and what you want for the future is going to change, because you're actually going to be able to perceive the future in a way that you didn't even understand that you couldn't beforehand. 6, make friends with your neighbors. I did not make friends with my neighbors before leaving my ex-husband, and it ended up being okay. I was extremely lucky because we were in a place where the walls were thin and the neighbors could hear everything, and I had multiple neighbors of mine write declarations for me for court, and because of that, the judge believed me without me having to have come to all that much harm from my ex-husband, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, it has been what has given me such strong protections with my DVPO and such a majority of time with my daughter is these declarations from my neighbors. I know too many women who were way physically hurt worse than me, and they were not able to prove it in court because they did not have these declarations from their neighbors. So make friends with your neighbors. This is Seattle. You could be watching from somewhere else. Perhaps it's not Seattle where you're at. But if you're in Seattle, a lot of people are not inclined to call the police on people based off of the color of their skin. They might think that the police won't treat them right if, they're calling the police to try to help someone who's a person of color. If you are someone who is comfortable getting the cops called, let your neighbors know. Even if you don't think that your neighbor is some radical anti-cop neighbor, they might be. You don't know them. You need to go get to know them. Let them know if you're comfortable with them calling the cops on you. It will also massively help your case later on if it's not just you tattling on your ex to the cops if it's also the neighbors calling the cops on your ex. And it's also possible for your neighbors to start calling the cops on this guy before you even decide to leave him, which would be fantastic to have just a little bit more in the court record so that you are believed when the time comes for you to go to court, and you need to be believed. Number 7, I hope this doesn't sound too strange, but it's actually time for you to be happy. I know that's a little strange, but it is so great that he has hurt you just enough that you know to leave. Hopefully it's that he hasn't hurt you very much. If he has, I'm very sorry about that. You are alive though. Not everyone gets to leave their abusive relationship alive, and that's fantastic. And what's going to ultimately help you is for you to know that you are so fortunate, for you to, once you are coming into safety again, for you to feel safe, for you to know that you are surrounded by a community that is there to help you, even though, maybe they're not actually, but you need to feel all these things. That's what's going to help you, survive this round of life, right? And also prepare you to, not be abused in the future. Next video, I'm going to be telling you a few of the mistakes that I made leaving my ex-husband. And listen up. Hopefully the story will give you a few ideas about, what's possible with escaping your abusive ex.